We're back for our Week 3 NFL Best Bets here on the channel. Of course, all 32 teams still playing this week. We still haven't had the bye weeks for a couple more weeks here with the NFL. And we've got our 5 best bets for money lines and spreads right now for Week 3 of the NFL season. If you're looking for best player props, we're going to have that out later today on the channel around 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll have our 5 best player props for week number 3. But for now, again, just money lines and spreads for this video. Now, before we get into it, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL content here on the channel. Daily MLB best bets on the channel as well, and college football predictions. Got you covered through everything here in the world of sports. Also on Greedo Plays MMA today, we post our UFC Australia predictions with Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes in the main event. Go make sure to check out that video. That is linked in the description down below. Go subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA if you have not yet. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets this week for the NFL, kicking things off with Pittsburgh Steelers money line on the road in New England. Minus 120 is too good here for Pittsburgh, okay? I'm not going to lay off of the Steelers just because they lost last week against the Seahawks. Just because Caleb Johnson, who has never kick returned ever in his career, decided to let a ball go. Just because that happened and, Rodgers threw 2 picks, even though I thought Aaron played fairly well in that game, I'm not going to shy away from the Steelers, okay? My thing with this team is eventually the defense is going to show up. Eventually, they're going to start shutting teams down. Because I cannot imagine a world where for an entire 17-game season, the Pittsburgh Steelers are carried by their offense and their 40-year-old quarterback. Now, do I think Rodgers is going to be instrumental in what they do in 2025? 100%. I think, again, they're only going to go as far as Rodgers takes them. Obviously, the defense alone has gotten them to the postseason pretty much every single season, and we can likely expect an over 500 year from Pittsburgh this year. Rodgers is going to be the guy that's either going to take them to the next step, or they will go and do what they did with Mason Rudolph / Kenny Pickett, or last year what they did with Russell Wilson, right? They'll be a first-round exit. I think we all expect Pittsburgh to get there. It's just a matter of how do they get to the postseason and what will they do from there. Anyways, I believe they beat the Patriots this week. I think they're going to. New England's coming off a victory last week where they went to Miami and beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 0-3. And sure, they were, better than I guess we thought they were going. They played a little bit better than we thought they were going to play over at Orchard Park in Buffalo last week. But they still lost, or earlier, actually 2 days ago. But they lost by 10 points to the Bills. And yeah, the Patriots going to Miami and win that football game. It is what it is. You still lost in week 1, the Raiders, who looked horrible in week number 2. And sure, that's partially just because the Los Angeles Chargers might be the best team in the NFL. But Raiders looked horrible in week 2. They go into New England week 1 and beat that team. Steelers on the road now. Well, this team's 1-0 on the road this year. They went to East Rutherford. They went out and beat the New York Jets 34-32. And sure, a loss last week to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I kind of like what they got going on. I think the defense, again, and my point with this team is the defense will eventually have to show up. It's going to have to. There's not going to be a world where they just get carried by the offense throughout the entire season. Eventually, someone on the defense is going to make a play, and someone on the defense is going to step up, right? They need to get Rodgers a little bit of help somewhere. And also, we can expect DK Metcalf to continue to get the football more. I can't say continue to get the football because he barely touched it last week against the Seahawks, right? In his revenge game against Seattle, DK barely got any targets, barely had any catches. I can expect DK to be more involved this week. I think the defense is going to be much better. And for the Patriots, still a team I'm not sold on. Not at all. I think they have a decent young core. I think Drake May's a good young quarterback. Do I think Drake May's a franchise guy? I don't know. I think he's going to be New England's guy. I think they're going to, they're going to stay with Drake May for as long as they can. Obviously, there's no signs of him not being their guy. Am I sold, though, he's going to be the guy that's going to take New England over the top? Not entirely, no. I mean, I guess do your thing, Ramondre Stevenson. A lot of what was made out of the offseason for New England was, okay, Travion Henderson looks great. He's been looking really good in the preseason, and he's going to be the starting running back this year for the Patriots. Well, nope. Travion so far is getting outplayed by Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson's getting more snaps than Travion Henderson in plays that were initially designed for Travion Henderson. That big, I guess it's not a seam route, more of just an escape 9 route for Ramondre Stevenson in that Dolphins game that he ended up taking 70-something yards down to the 2-yard line. That was initially a play that was drawn up for Travion Henderson. It's just, he's getting out positioned by Ramondre, who I guess is just the vet that's keeping his job. Receiving core though for the Patriots, man, that's the thing too. Like Ramondre alone's not going to win the Patriots a football game. He's playing well so far, but long-term wise, and even this season wise, I mean, as we go down the stretch here, I know we're in week 3, but as we continue to play, I mean, I don't expect Ramondre Stevenson to be a difference maker or a game changer for the Patriots. He's just a serviceable back. I think Henderson eventually will make that change and will be a determining factor in victories. Patriots receiving core, I mean, Hunter Henry, Kayshon Boutte, and then obviously Stephon Diggs, who is having a kid with Cardi B. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe little does Cardi B know, 3 other women are expecting to have Stephon Diggs' child this year. But that's neither here or there. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I think they're going to be locked in on the road. You got to also consider with Pittsburgh, too. This is a team that's supposed to be over 500, and they probably will be over 500. Games like this coming off a loss, I expect them to win. Oh, by the way, next week, they got to go to wherever the hell in Europe and play the Vikings. So they got to go to Ireland. Ooh, that's brutal. Considering what happened to Iowa State and, well, not Iowa State, K-State. Iowa State hasn't looked great since Ireland, but considering what happened to K-State after they left Ireland, I don't love that for the Steelers. I think they'll probably beat the Vikings without McCarthy, but who knows? Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers next week. Sign me up, I guess, at 6:30 in the morning. I'm not getting up for that. Give me the Steelers, though, to win this week, -120 on the road in New England. Next up, we go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I might be the only person that's picking the Jaguars this week, or at least featuring the Jaguars on a best bet video. I am, though. Okay? The Jaguars have been at the front of a lot of media attention, and no, that's not positive media attention, that's negative media attention. Jaguars win a big game in week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, where, of course, shout out to Shad Khan. Right now, AEW All Out's going on. I'm watching. But Shad Khan, after the week 1 victory for Jacksonville, they get in the locker room, and, Liam Cohen's there, and Shad Khan's got football in his hands. He said, this is what we envisioned in January when we built the team, and this is going to go on forever. Jaguars lose the very next week. Man. A game they should have won, though, and that's the thing about the Jaguars. It's frustrating. I'm not a Jaguars fan. I've always liked Jacksonville, at least since, Tony Khan took over professional wrestling, or at least made professional wrestling watchable again. But that's a whole other thing. I don't mind Jacksonville. I pay attention. I've always liked Trevor Lawrence, and I like what they got going with the young core at Travis Hunter. But a lot of the media attention on them this week has been how bad Brian Thomas has played. And Brian Thomas he's not been the same guy this season. It's been, his yards, you can look at him and say, oh, okay, well, Brian Thomas has 60 yards and 20 targets is ridiculous. He's just dropping the football like it's nobody's business right now. And I don't understand what happened to the guy. You can put a lot of blame on Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is being, targeted some, and obviously a lot is being made of when Liam Cohen was telling him, put it on his chest, and Lawrence goes, get away from me. That's a problem. I get that. I know Lawrence has thrown 2 bad balls this season. I'm not going to put it on Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to put it on Brian Thomas. I'm going to put it on a scheme thing. I mean, De'Ami Brown's your leading receiver. You got to find more ways to get Travis Hunter the football. Travis Etienne's done really well after basically getting outplayed last season by Tank Bigsby. Well, Bigsby gets sent to Philadelphia, and Travis Etienne's back as the lead back in Jacksonville. I wish I knew that going into the fantasy season. Could have picked Etienne later in the draft at a good price. But it is what it is, right? I was expecting him to split with Bigsby all year long. But I'm taking the Jaguars to beat Houston here. Partially, it's because I do actually believe in Jacksonville. I believe Brian Thomas, and we went over this earlier in the year when we took Tyreek Hill, and obviously the Dolphins didn't win last week against the Patriots, so actually this is probably not the best reasoning, but I think, at least the Dolphins have looked for Tyreek Hill more, and it's this whole, we gotta, right this narrative wrong about, Brian Thomas isn't still elite. I mean, again, Thomas one season in the NFL, but was really good last year, right? I think Jacksonville's going to make a point out of getting him the football this week. Because he is your best offensive playmaker. It might be Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter's a rookie, and obviously there's a reason you picked Hunter with the number 2 overall pick in the draft, and obviously, Travis Hunter is going to be a big part of Jacksonville's future, but you got to get the ball to Brian Thomas. You have to. And I look at Houston right now. I mean, is this one of the worst teams in the NFL? Sure, they played good teams. They played the Rams on the road, and then you host Tampa Bay, and you lose the Buccaneers because Baker Mayfield's just that good. Right, you lose those 2 games, okay, but now you're going to go on the road, division game in Jacksonville, a team that they feel like they should be 2-0. If Jake Browning doesn't lead the Browns down the field and Travis Hunter doesn't, get called for a penalty on that last drive on a 3rd down, the Jaguars go into Cincinnati, they win that game, they're 2-0. So a lot of that negative media attention, well, nobody's just talking about the Jaguars then if they win that game. Because, again, the story out of Jacksonville right now is they're dysfunctional. Brian Thomas isn't catching the ball. What are they going to do? Really, what are they going to do on both ways with Travis Hunter? If they beat Cincinnati, well, you're a 2-0 team now getting Houston with a chance to be 3-0. I think they win this week. Guys, the Texans are so unimpressive. They have one of the worst offensive lines in football. You can't run the ball. CJ Stroud, I get it. He doesn't have time in the pocket. I get it. CJ Stroud is not that good. Is that harsh? I don't think Stroud's that great. Yes, in all fairness to him, his offensive line is horrible. He's not a premier passer in the league. He had a great rookie season. Was he good last year? No. And okay, he lost Nico Collins. He lost Tank Dell. I get it. Dell's still out. Nico Collins is back, and Nico Collins, what, 3 catches a game right now? Can't run the ball. Nick Chubb obviously had the big touchdown run in the fourth quarter to take the lead against Tampa before Baker won the game. But you can't run the ball. You can't throw the ball. I know Jacksonville's defense is no juggernaut, but I actually think they're going to do a decent enough job here on Houston. Guys, the Texans, again, are one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I think if Tampa played a better game, that's a blowout, and I think Tampa's going to continue to play better football as the season goes on. I'm not sold on Houston at all, man. I don't think they're that good. I think Jacksonville, I'd argue, is a better team. You know, obviously the Colts are the best team in the AFC South, and I fully expect the Colts to win the AFC South this season. And I know that's a lot of praise for a team that's just 2-0, but I think we all expect them to walk into Tennessee and win. Shout out to Indiana Jones. But this particular game, I'm going Jacksonville. I think -1.5 is fine. Yeah, you can play money line, but they're actually -130-ish on the money line, and you can, if you go -1.5, you can go -110. I'll be damned if the Jags win the game by 1 point. Okay, I will be damned. But Jacksonville's at home. They're at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. You take Houston, who's, having to go back on the road. They're 0-2, morale down. And sure, again, I think Jacksonville's going to try to right a lot of those narratives wrong this week. And I'm going to go with Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, and company. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win here in week number 2 against the Houston Texans. Divisional game, I'm going Jacksonville -1.5 at home against the Houston Texans. That's at -110, again, for the Jaguars. On to our third best bet of the video, we move to the San Francisco 49ers. -135 for the Niners. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why aren't you playing -1.5 here? I don't know. I feel like this game's more competitive, and there's a potential that we could actually see a 1-point victory. Again, that's a very, very doubtful situation. I doubt it's going to happen, but this is a case where I honestly think Cardinals-Niners is a lot closer than Jaguars versus Texans. I think the Cardinals are actually pretty solid. I know they allowed Carolina right back into that football game last week, and they tried their hardest to let Bryce Young get another chance. They obviously didn't recover the onside kick and whatnot. The 49ers, we need to remember, are still on a backup quarterback. Now, I don't think the drop-off in play is that huge. I think, obviously, I'm not going to tell you that, Brock Purdy's not as good as Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones is the backup for a reason. Brock Purdy is the franchise quarterback, but it's a Kyle Shanahan system. It's a San Francisco 49ers system. Backup quarterbacks, and really any quarterback who knows how to somewhat manage a football game is going to look pretty solid. Look at what Mac Jones did last week. They only won the game by 5 points, and that's why, again, I'm going to go money line here just in case we get the 1-point victory. Just because, New Orleans was competitive against San Francisco, but this is a game between the Cardinals and 49ers. These are 2 teams that have already beat the Saints. 2 teams that have already gone into the Superdome and beaten New Orleans this season. Arizona beats them by 7. San Francisco last week beats them by 5. Mac Jones' first ever start as a 49er, 280 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this is the best team Mac Jones has ever played on since the Alabama days. Obviously, he's a better team than Alabama. Obviously, great weapons there. He had the Heisman that season to Devontae Smith, but you got Christian McCaffrey out of your backfield now. You have a first-round pick in Ricky Pearsall. You have Jawan Jennings, and sure, you're missing right now George Kittle, and you're missing Brandon Ayuk, but that's still a plethora of options to choose from. Arizona's 2-0, but they're at 2-0 where we don't really know where to put them. Because, again, credit to them. They've won both their games this season. You've beaten the Saints and the Panthers, who are 2 of the worst teams in the National Football League. Kyler's playing well. I mean, I think the most viral play that the Cardinals had last weekend was that play where Kyler's running around the pocket. He escapes and still finds a way to get positive yardage because that's just what Kyler Murray does. I mean, that's his special ability to make plays. Arizona as a whole this season, though, they haven't really ran the football that well. Kyler's not getting the ball to Marvin Harrison. Last week, Marv had 1 catch, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had 1 catch on 3 targets. 2 catches on 5 targets. Yeah, but again, you don't spend a top 5 pick on a receiver to throw him the ball twice a game. Trey McBride was one hell of a find for Arizona. Don't get me wrong, right? McBride is right in there in the top 5 tight ends, if not top 3 tight ends in all of football. But I believe San Francisco is going to do a good job containing this run because the Arizona run game has not been great this season. I mean, you're running Trey Benson some, but obviously James Conner's your lead back, and Kyler Murray obviously is always a problem. I get that. But if you can stuff that run, then you force Kyler to kind of play in the pocket. And obviously, again, Murray's going to create for his own play and scramble and whatnot. But you force Kyler in the pocket, and with that pass rush, obviously, Nick Bosa leading the charge, it's just a very difficult spot for Murray. It is. And if you make Kyler Murray be a pocket passer, that's how you beat him. Arizona last year did actually go into San Francisco and win, or Santa Clara, California, and win. Niners are 2-0, though. Cardinals are 2-0, and I think Mac Jones is going to be more than serviceable this week because he was very serviceable last week. You give Mac Jones, and guys, Ricky Pearsall is making that next step this year. Obviously, had to deal with some crazy circumstances last season. The guy got shot at Union Square, I believe it was Union Square, in San Francisco. He comes back halfway through the year. I mean, we didn't know if this guy was ever going to play football again, let alone come back in the same season, and he does. You give him a full offseason to come back, and now, again, there's a reason they spent a first-round pick on this guy. Pearsall is going to be a very good receiver for many years, right? There's a reason they were fine with, all right, Deebo, go to Washington, because we have Pearsall, we have Ayuk, and obviously Ayuk's not healthy yet, but we have Jawan Jennings as well, and George Kittle, too, who, of course, is injured. Now, long-term wise, do I think this is going to play a factor in how San Francisco is going to finish? 100%. They are allergic to staying healthy. They get injured every single season. It's a problem. Purdy, I guess there was some optimism he would play. He's been ruled out or downgraded to doubtful. He's not playing. It's going to be a Mac Jones start this week, which is perfectly fine because the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the football game. Oh, by the way, game's in Santa Clara. It's a home game for them. First home game of the year for the Niners, as in week 1. They had to go on the road to Seattle and win, and then they had to go, all the way to New Orleans. You get your first home game, and rather it being your franchise quarterback you just paid in the offseason, it's the Mac Attack, Mac Jones, which is fire. But I believe Mac Jones is going to have a good game. I think he's going to do everything San Francisco asks him to do, and this is, again, the guy Kyle Shanahan wanted initially. He didn't want Trey Lance. He wanted Mac Jones, and finally got him on as a backup. Jones obviously was a Jaguar last season. Got to start quite a bit in the tail end of last year with the Trevor Lawrence injury, but here he is now playing in Santa Clara for the 49ers and had a good first start, threw 3 touchdowns against the New Orleans Saints. I think Arizona is going to be a tougher task, but I still believe San Francisco is going to win the football game. I'm going 49ers money line at home, minus 135 against the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we move to our 4th best bet of the video. We go to America's game of the week, and we are taking America's team. I guess they're America's team still. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. The Bears are the worst team in the National Football League. I'm not joking about that. I call a lot of teams bad. Oh, the Texans are horrible. Oh, the Panthers are pretty bad, even though I don't think they're that horrible. The Saints are really bad. The Bears might be the worst. And that's nothing against Caleb Williams. Guys, you would have not found a bigger Caleb Williams fan than myself when he was at USC. Back when I used to make gaming videos on the channel, I did a whole video on College Football Revamped about Caleb Williams' career at USC. I mean, I was very all in on USC that season and Caleb, and I still believe Caleb Williams is one hell of a talent. It's what's around him, though. And I don't know if it's a personnel thing anymore. It obviously is. I'm not even going to blame it on Ben Johnson and the coaching. I think it's a mindset thing out there. The Bears have been so accustomed to losing football games for so long. And when you're a rookie, I will always go back to this. When you are a rookie quarterback, like Caleb Williams was in 2024, the Bears haven't gone out to this great of a start in such a long time. You are 4-2, and it's number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. CBS late, their CBS primetime spot essentially. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. You're 4-2 walking into Landover, Maryland. You're about to win the football game. Caleb drove his team right down the field with 2 minutes left. Actually, with about 40 seconds left. Essentially won the football game, and Jane Daniels obviously hits Noah Brown with that big Hail Mary. Tyreek Stevenson not paying attention. Will obviously start the play, and it is what it is. Since that moment, the Chicago Bears are 1-12. And their only victory is a garbage game, essentially, in Week 18 against the Green Bay Packers, where Green Bay was already getting ready for the postseason. They were already stuck in their playoff position. They are essentially in meaningful football games against an opponent who's actually trying to win. The Chicago Bears are 0-13 since losing to the Commanders, or including the Commanders game, I guess 0-12 since the Commanders lost. It's a mindset thing. Your quarterback, who was playing fairly well to start the season, right? Had a big game. I know they lost this one, but they had a big game, a 300-plus yard game against the Colts. Threw for 300 yards in a victory over the Carolina Panthers to put them at 3-2 at the time. Your rookie quarterback was playing well enough. That is a demoralizing type loss that they took. I remember the week after they go to Arizona, afternoon game, and Arizona ran him out the building. The Bears have not been the same football team since that Commanders loss. They haven't won a game against a meaningful team, against a team who's actually playing their starting players. And now they play the Cowboys. Do I think the Cowboys are the cream of the crop? No. I think they're good enough, though. They're not going to play defense, sure. How are the Bears going to score? Genuine question. Caleb is so insistent on getting out the pocket. And sure, he's getting pressure, but that's the thing. Instinctively, Caleb Williams will still go back to what he did at Oklahoma and what he did at USC. It's roll out and make plays on the run and make plays outside the pocket. Because, again, that's just what Caleb is. He wants to be a playmaker, and he wants to be that X factor to why his team wins, obviously. And I'm not going to hate on the guy for doing that, obviously. But it's just, at the NFL level, it's not going to entirely work. And that's why Williams takes a bunch of sacks, because you're not playing in college anymore. These DNs are faster than, obviously, what you saw in the last 3 seasons prior to being in the NFL. And additionally, at least against the Lions, he was so zoned in on Rome Odunze, to the point where he's throwing balls into quadruple coverage, and somehow Odunze's coming down with it against Detroit. But that's just not a winning formula. That's not something that you're going to be able to continue to go to. It's a problem. The Cowboys last week scored 40 points and escape out of AT&T Stadium with a victory. I know that's their home stadium, but still. They beat the Giants. Russ throws for 450 yards. Sure, Cowboys defense isn't great. Secondary's not playing well. I'll be damned, honestly, if the Bears, score more than 28 points. I know the Cowboys can score that many, though. Hell, the Detroit Lions put up 52 points against the Bears. I get the Lions might be the best offense in the NFL, but the Cowboys are going to sling it. Dak's going to sling it. That's just what Prescott does. Every other season, Prescott's really good. Well, this is the season where, yes, Dak is due to be a very good quarterback this year. Got to give Javonte Williams some credit. Javonte Williams has played good football this season. And oh, by the way, who's in this receiving corps? Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, who, mixed bag, but he's been good this season. Was good last week. And George Pickens you add to this receiving corps too. And oh yeah, you have the single greatest talent to ever play the kicker position in football history. A guy who can consistently hit field goals from 65 yards. Who can easily hit a field goal from 70 yards. What's his max? 75? I mean, if this guy, I don't know. I know he can hit from 70 plus. We've seen it. If he tried to kick an 80-yard field goal, could he do so? That is a legitimate question. Because that's from, 67 is from midfield. So an 80-yard field goal would be, I don't think you'd get 80. That'd be kind of insane. Yeah, that's probably out the picture. Because that'd be from your own 37-yard line. Okay, that's definitely not happening. But, kicking it from your own 47, a 70-yarder, I mean, he can hit that. He can hit from his own 45. It's ridiculous stuff. It's ridiculous stuff. Anyways, I think I got my math a little bit wrong there on the kicks. I think maybe. I don't know. I'm doing it in my head. Anyways, I think the Cowboys win this game. I don't think the Bears are able to keep up. The Bears' offense is not good. They lead the NFL in punts since the beginning of last season. And I'm telling you, something happened when they lost in Maryland to the Commanders, in DC. Okay. Something happened, and they can't win a football game anymore. Easily, to me, I'm going with the Cowboys, go on the road and win. With Brady on the call, yeah, give me Dakota Prescott and the Cowboys to win. Final best bet of the video, taking the Detroit Lions. I still believe in the Lions, man. I think last week is exactly what they needed. And buckle up now for Detroit because, oh my, this schedule. Now, I'll look at the Browns next week. But after that, but the Bengals isn't a tough game anymore. Their schedule's still difficult, though. Don't get me wrong. And the Vikings is not that tough of a game anymore now. I don't know. Their schedule coming up is Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Tampa, bye week, Minnesota, Washington, Philly. And then Giants, and it gets kind of easier from there. It's a tough start to the year. But this is what I liked out of the Lions this year. Because last year, they had so many games where there's blue teams out, and they were playing uncompetitive games against Mac Jones, against Mason Rudolph from the Tennessee Titans, and it was just like, they're going into the game as a 17.5-point favorite. We knew they were going to win. The game would be over at halftime at Ford Field. This year, they have to play the most competitive schedule they've played in years. They have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, like the entire NFC North does, but obviously the Lions get the hardest end of the stick. Hardest end of the stick. No, not home. The hardest end of the stick. That sounded horrible. They get the short end of the stick. Why did I say? Anyways, they have a difficult schedule is what I'm getting at too. But how good is Kansas City? I don't know. Bengals without Burrow, Browns, that's a win. Vikings with or without McCarthy, Carson Wentz, I don't know. One game at a time though. I'm telling you, there's going to be 1 million points scored this week. I don't know if the Ravens are able to keep up with the Lions. I think that might be a hot take. I get it. Because the Lions defense, I mean, we saw last year in that shootout in Detroit against Josh Allen and the Bills, right? The Bills won that game because Lions defense couldn't get a stop. And Goff in the offense was slinging it. Jared Goff had over 400 yards, and that's just what he does. Because Goff is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in football. He's top 5. Top 7. But I think they can keep up with the Ravens this week. The Ravens are going to run it, obviously. I get that. And Lamar, who doesn't get the credit for being as good of a pure passer as he is, because I say it all the time, Lamar Jackson's not just a good passer. He's not just a great passer. He's a historically great passing quarterback. I look at the Lions this week, though, and I think, again, scored 52 points last week. You hold the Bears at 21. Again, that doesn't mean much to me. Obviously, it's a different challenge taking on Lamar Jackson. There's not another challenge in the league that is Lamar. You know? He's difficult to deal with. And the Ravens' offense is good. DeAndre Hopkins, I guess, is not washed. I think, pretty sure Derrick Henry went on some thing and said he's not, no, keep calling Hopkins washed. Here's the thing, though. Derrick Henry last week was shut down in the run game. 11 carries, 23 yards. Lamar Jackson, 2 carries, 13 yards. And I get it. It's the Cleveland Browns. That's that great front line. Obviously, Myles Garrett, I know he's not playing up the middle, but, he's pressuring the quarterback, obviously, and that entire front line, that front seven for Cleveland is decent. It's pretty good. It's a divisional game in the AFC North. You're going to have to fight for your victories, obviously, right? But piggybacking off of that, if you're able to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, okay, well, we just got to beat you in coverage now against Zay Flowers, Devontae Walker, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman. Okay. Obviously, Zay's great and Flowers is having a very good start to the season. I think the Lions are able to keep up, and I think the Lions are going to have the more. I think they're going to have the more clutch scores. I think I have a feeling, again, Detroit's going to be able to stop Baltimore in plus territory, and the Lions are going to be able to capitalize on their drives and finish their drives. I think the difference in this game is going to be when Baltimore stalls out offensively, they're going to kick field goals, and Detroit's going to get in the end zone. I mean, if Josh Allen's scoring, 22 points in a quarter and throwing for 200 yards on you in a quarter, I'm not telling you Jared Goff's going to do more than that, but who's got more weapons? The Bills or the Lions? The better quarterback's Josh Allen. There's not a better player in football than Josh Allen. But who has more weapons offensively, the Bills or Detroit? I'm going to go Detroit. I'm not telling you Jared Goff can do everything Josh Allen can, but Jared Goff can do quite a bit. He's pure passer-wise. Jared Goff's one of the best talents in the league. It's a reason why he's always top 5 in passing every single season. He's one of the more underappreciated quarterbacks who, by the end of his career, is going to have a sneaky, very good Hall of Fame resume. And if he can just put a Super Bowl together, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm serious about that with Jared Goff. But you look at the Bills and how they scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. I like Keon Coleman. I think Dalton Kincaid's great. I think James Cook's really good. Well, the Lions have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. And how about Isaac Tesla, who only makes one-handed grabs? And Sam Laporta as well. They also use Brock Wright, too. Hey, they've got too many weapons, I think, for Baltimore to deal with. If the Ravens gave up that lead and lost on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to lose to the Lions as well. But we get 5.5 points on top of that. I'm probably going to play both the money line and the spread because I do like the Lions that much. And I think the Lions are in that tier to me where if you can get them at plus money, you absolutely have to take it. Just because they are that talent loaded. And that's why I love their schedule this year, because there are going to be multiple spots this season where we will get Detroit at plus money. The only team that I'm not going to play Detroit on is probably the Bucs game, because Tampa is just that good, and they actually went into Ford Field and beat them last year. But I mean, I'm hoping we get Detroit at plus money against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I'm hoping we get the Lions at plus money on the road in Washington. I'm hoping we get it in Philadelphia. I'm hoping we get it in Goff's return to Los Angeles against the Rams. I'm hoping we get that in their game against Minnesota. I still think the Lions are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. I think there's a very good chance they end up in the Super Bowl. Lions-Bills. I mean, that's still what I kind of think. I know Green Bay's looking good, but Green Bay's not going to be this dominant for 18 weeks. Trust me, they're going to fall off eventually. The Lions, in my opinion, are still the team to beat in the NFC. I know Philly's there too, but that's going to end eventually. I'm going with the Detroit Lions this week, plus 5.5. Again, money line, 100% playable as well. I'm going to play both, but I like Detroit plus 5.5. If we are given the points, we might as well take it. Give me the Lions, plus money, plus the points on the road in Baltimore, Monday Night Football, minus 115 for the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. Folks, thank y'all for watching our NFL best bets here for week number 3. We'll be back later today for our best player props, 5 of them for this week as well. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Comment if you disagree. We'll be back again later today for the player props. And go check out Greedo Plays MMA for our UFC Olberg versus Reyes predictions coming out right now on that channel too. Folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.